So I want to finish up with 3 reasons we raise them indoors. For one thing, okay, look at them at this stage. No matter what time of year we raise them, we're going to have to give them the ambient temperature of about 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to have to protect them, okay? So when they're starting on day 1, we're going to have to protect them from everything, from sunlight, from temperature swings, from drafts, from predators, everything. And they want it 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So basically, we know we're not going to have them outdoors in the beginning, right? We're going to have to start them indoors. So we're going to have to set up some kind of system indoors for starting these birds and giving them what they need at day 1. And then you see them at about day 14 here. They're not feathered in. They're still very little. They're still very sensitive to temperature fluctuation, because that's what you're seeing there. We're at about 40 degrees now, and they're still wanting warmth, right? So, and then you see this group at 3 weeks old. They're still not feathered in either, and they're still wanting warmth, okay? So 3 weeks of age, and we would in general be halfway through production with this group. So at 3 weeks of age, we're still not ready to put these birds outside in a pastured situation, because they're not feathered in enough, and because the ambient temperature they need is not being matched by the conditions outdoors. So we couldn't even put these birds out on pasture if we wanted to, because it's not good for them. So that's one reason that we go ahead and raise them indoors start to finish, because you're going to have to start them indoors. And we already have a system set up to deal with floor space, trying to give them good ambient conditions, getting them food, getting them water, getting them sunlight. So if we've taken these things into consideration for an indoor system, and we've had to do that for 3 weeks, and we only have to raise them for 3 or 4 more weeks, we're just going to keep them inside, okay? So we'll finish production indoors. Another reason that we raise them inside is because of predator protection. As you know, with any kind of chickens, they are very, very likely to be picked off by predators. Okay, in the case of all chickens, you have some kind of investment in them. In the case of meat birds, even at the small scale we're doing it, we have a huge investment in this. Okay, we can't afford to let predators pick off our birds. So when we have them inside, start to finish, we can totally protect them from predators. Hawks would pick these birds off, no problem. If anything was able to get into the building, that would be an issue too. So we make sure our building is as safe as possible, preventing things from getting in. With them being inside, we're protecting them from overhead predators. Hawks are a terrible threat around here, so it protects our birds from predators. Yes, you can accomplish that in a chicken tractor as well. I'm not saying you can't, but you would have also raised these birds indoors part of the time before you put them out in that chicken tractor anyway. So, okay, so that's the second reason. A third reason that we do raise them indoors is to protect them from elements. And we haven't had birds in chicken tractors, but we have had birds in the finished stage on pasture, and we still prefer to have them in their indoor production system, because we've had experiences with letting birds out on pasture where even just they had shade to get into, but sometimes meat birds won't go where they ought to go on their own volition. So we've had instances where the birds had shade, had a good place to be, but they still sat out in the sunlight and just baked and ended up overheating. So, you know, a lot of times if you have them out on pasture, if you have a chicken tractor situation, you know, the presumption is I've done all these things to prepare this place for them. They're safe in there. So, you know, we're not hovering over them 24/7, and they can have things happen. So, you know, they can get overheated. They can have too much sunlight. They can, if they get wet, getting rained on, they can get chilled. So you can have negative impact from that. So raising them indoors allows us to totally protect them from all the elements of weather. Okay, and actually this building, not in every situation do we have a building that's a great setup for raising meat chickens, but this building was actually designed for raising meat chickens, and the design concept was aimed at being able to cool them off as much as possible in extreme heat, because we know we need to go through summer with growing and finishing flocks. So we have like this big door open. We have two big doors on this side. We can open them both up. We have that big door open right now, and we have a big door exactly opposite of it we can open up. So we can utilize and leverage cross ventilation in here very easily if we have a problem with, you know, extreme heat. And that helps keep our birds cooler. And we have a bunch of fans you can see over there, so sometimes we plug those in too. But anyway, those are 3 reasons we do raise them inside. So if you're raising meat birds, this was a video with a lot of information in it for you. Check that out. That just is amazing. 2-week-old meat bird, yellow bird. 3-week-old egg production bird, the dark feathered one. So meat bird's younger but bigger at 2 weeks old than a 3-week-old egg production bird. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so if y'all have any questions about raising meat birds, put them in the comments. Maybe we can do another video on them. And another time we'll talk about corners. Look at these birds sitting in the corner. They're not pushing anybody into the corner, but corners can be an issue. Quick tip on that. If you have them in a confined space and you're concerned about them fighting for a corner, just take a piece of scrap wood or something and just run it angled in that corner and just block that corner out, and that'll take away that 90-degree corner and push those birds out of there. So, hey y'all, thanks so much for supporting the channel. We greatly appreciate it. And really take to heart, if you want to raise your own protein, meat chickens are manageable. If you've never done it before, don't order 200. Order about 25. Before you order them, figure out if you're going to learn how to butcher them and go for it yourself, or find somebody who will butcher them for you. A situation you don't want to end up with is even like 25 meat birds and you don't have the heart to butcher them and you can't find somebody who's willing to do it, because they really, when they get to finish, they need to be butchered and processed into poultry. They have a finite lifespan because they grow so rapidly, okay?